Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Michael Thomas met with reporters on Wednesday and was asked a pretty point-blank question if he was going to play on Sunday against Atlanta. Here's what he said.
You expect to play on Sunday?
We'll find out. I mean, I feel like that's the goal.
We'll find out. That's the goal. He was coy, as was Dennis Allen when he was asked about the possibility of Michael Thomas returning, said essentially the same thing. We'll see how this week goes along, but I think the expectation is that Mike Thomas will play against the Atlanta Falcons, and that's in large part why he has been held out of everything to heal that hamstring and to get him ready to go. So that's not something that lingers throughout the season. He's been through so much just to get back to this point where he's ready to play in the opener. But what really caught my attention was, and this has caught the attention of a lot of folks, was when I believe it's Ed Daniels who asked him the question about, if he could ever be the guy he was in 2019 again.
Is the guy we saw in 2019, is he still there?
I'm trying to top that.
Top it?
Yeah, top that for sure.
Trying to top that. Okay, I love that is Michael Thomas's goal. I love that in his mind, at this point in his career, that he can still be that Mike Thomas. I love that is in his head. Because Michael Thomas, as wild as this is going to sound, Michael Thomas has not been on the field for the New Orleans Saints in 20 months. 20 months since he's played in an NFL game. Michael Thomas is now 29 years old. That's not old for a receiver, but it is certainly fair to say that he is at the end or past his physical prime. Doesn't mean he can't still be elite, and I believe he will be. But you're also talking about a guy who in 2019 had to carry the load for that Saints team in the pass game. On this Saints team, he don't have to do that. On this Saints team, it's Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry and Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara, who has had, in the seasons he's healthy, 80-plus receptions each of his first 3 seasons in the NFL. You have so many weapons, and that's not even to include the guys who were on the team last year who were a necessity to elevate their game. Marquez Callaway, Deontay Hardy. I'm not going to mention Tre'Quan Smith. The year that Michael Thomas had 149 receptions, do you know who the second leading receiver was on the team that year? Michael Thomas had 149 for 1,725 yards. Do you remember who the number 2 receiver was on that team? It was your running back, Alvin Kamara, with 81 receptions. The number 2 receiver as far as yards, by the way, was Jared Cook, your tight end. Whether you're looking at yards or receptions, after Mike Thomas, it was a receiver and a running back. It was a tight end and a running back. Ted Ginn was your next leading receiver with 56 catches among wide receivers, 56 catches for 421 yards. And Tre'Quan had 18 catches for 234. Those were your top 3 wide receivers in 2019. Michael Thomas, Ted Ginn, Tre'Quan. Suffice to say, Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave hits a little bit different. So, no, I don't think Michael Thomas will ever hit his career high again. I don't think he'll ever have over 149 catches. I don't think he'll have over 1,700 yards again in his career. And I'm good with that. You can still be great. You can still be elite without setting the NFL record for receptions. And quite honestly, I don't want Michael Thomas to have to do that because when everything in the passing game relied on Michael Thomas, look what happened when you removed Michael Thomas. That's the point. It's why for 2 years now we've been yelling, go get receivers. And what did they do? They drafted Chris Olave. They signed Jarvis Landry. You get Michael Thomas back, and now all of a sudden that room looks awesome. That looks like as good a receiver room top to bottom as there is in the NFL. I'm not saying you don't have like a 3 of them. I get it what's in Cincinnati. I get it what's in LA, especially if Odell ends up back there. I get it. I get what's in Minnesota. I get it. But top to bottom, they're in rarefied air. That's a good thing. Because if one guy is off the field, it doesn't cripple your passing game. And I'll remind you, most guys don't keep breaking records every year. I love that that's Michael Thomas's thought, is that he can still be that guy. And if you're pushing for it, even if you don't catch 149 balls for 1,700 yards, if you catch 90 balls for 1,100 yards, I'm still with it. I'm gonna tell you this again. My goal for Michael Thomas this year is what he did his rookie season. 92 for 1,137 and 9. That's my goal for Michael Thomas this year. Catch 90 balls for 1,100 yards, 90 balls for 1,000 yards. And he has an extra game to do it, 17 games this year. Catch 90 balls for 1,000 yards. Be a 1,000-yard receiver on this team again. And like Lance Moore told us on the show yesterday, Michael Thomas, just him being on the field, opens up so much for Jarvis Landry. Because if teams are going to double Michael Thomas, they're going to shade that way, is going to create so many opportunities for Jarvis, who in his career has been exceptional at getting separation and catching anything within his catch radius. It's not that dissimilar for Mike Thomas, but teams are going to have to choose. And that makes him dangerous. But you're not going to break records every year. You know, Tom Brady in 2011 threw for 5,200 yards. That was his career high. In 2011. He never touched that again until last year. He had a 17th game last year, so he did best it last year with 5,300 yards, but with the 17th game. It's okay. Like, you can still be great. Nobody's debating if Tom Brady was great for that decade, even though he didn't throw for 5,000 yards again. You know, Adrian Peterson had 2,097 yards back in 2012. He followed it up with a 1,200-yard season. And after that, from 2013 until now, Adrian Peterson's only had 2 more 1,000-yard seasons. Only. One of the greatest running backs ever. You can still be a great back. You can still be massively productive without running for 2,000 yards. So my expectation for Michael Thomas isn't to be what he was in 2019. My expectation for Michael Thomas is to continue being an elite receiver that's going to catch 100 balls and have 1,000 yards receiving on the season. Keep being the pace car for this offense. That's going to open up things for Jarvis. That's going to allow Olave to blow the top off the defense. That's going to create space for Alvin Kamara just whenever they're sleeping. And then, oh, by the way, you got Taysom Hill as well that people are going to have to account for, who we have not talked about at all this camp. The Saints offense should be scary good. It's a reason a lot of people are waking up on New Orleans nationally. And it's justified. And I think Michael Thomas is going to be a major part of that. And I do expect him to play on Sunday against Atlanta, and hopefully he stays healthy and is out there 17 times for the New Orleans Saints. Michael Thomas knows, and he said it when he met with reporters yesterday. He said he understands. This is sort of a new beginning for him.
Once the Saints offered me, my second deal after my rookie contract, that was an agreement to be out here to add value to this team, to keep the Saints, hanging banners and competing for championships. And I have a big role on this team, so to not be out there and add that value, whenever you get your second chance, I always told myself, and whenever I got back out there, take full advantage of it and find a way to always get back.
It's his second chance. Find a way to get back. He's back. See how it goes on Sunday in Atlanta against the Falcons. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.